as you're building a new platform, you're enhancing algorithms, customers get a direct output from that. It's not you buy something today and then you have to upgrade it 10 years later. Mainly, don't be afraid of speaking up if you have an area of opportunity, and don't be afraid of going to that C-suite level. It allows the opportunity to shift the way you're thinking and challenge yourself to modify how you interact in a day-to-day world, and especially in a professional sense with a customer, because you're no longer working off of the same siloed natures.
Today I have Shawn with us, who is all about driving growth and innovation. He is all about connecting with global leaders in revenue generation and efficiency optimization. Let's welcome Shawn on 10 Minutes of Hiring Wisdom, where he will tell us about what it's like working with a growing company, what he's learned along the way, and if he has any tips and advice for job seekers. Hi, Shawn. How are you doing today?
Doing excellent. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much, Shawn. So, Shawn, let's get into it. I'd first like for you to explain what your role is within a company, and can you give us like A to Z routine? Like, what is your routine like? What do you do when you get out of bed, when your day starts?
So my current role, I'm a technical project manager. I work in the AI ops space, and so our main objective is to implement our platform. It's a SaaS platform with customers, large scale customers. A lot of them are. I work for Big Panda, so a lot of them are on the website. I'm not going to divulge all of them, but the intent is to make their lives easier through AI. And ensure that they have proper uptime for their technology platforms. From really from my side, it's about enabling the customers themselves, as well as being that guide on best practice implementation.
Oh,
It
sorry, go
sorry.
ahead. No, go ahead.
No, it's been, working for a quote unquote startup has been a change for myself, but it also enables, and I would encourage people to get into that startup space, because the main objective is you're working with a blank slate. You get to come in, provide ideas, and have a smaller group of people who are able to review them and cut through, we'll say, the red tape or traditional corporate structure to actually enable change for not only your customers, but your other coworkers as well.
Okay. No, I think you touched upon something, which is the mentality of startups. A lot of reports that are coming out these days are specifically mentioning that one of the things that the top industry that is receiving investments is the AI space, specifically the tech AI space. So I'd love to understand, from your perspective, why is AI gaining so much momentum, and why do you think investors are placing so much trust in that specific space?
Because of the flexibility, honestly. If you look at a traditional model of software development, it is I build X, you get Y. When it comes to AI, you get the ability to actually manipulate it as you go to generate the best outcome for your customer or your clients. And I think that the flexibility is the biggest game changer, as well as the as you're building a new platform, you're enhancing algorithms, customers get a direct output from that. It's not you buy something today and then you have to upgrade it 10 years later. You're constantly in that mode of taking advantage of new technology and developments that are occurring in flight. And that's not the way traditional software development worked in the past. I think that's why they're going towards the AI route.
And I think we're in that stage where there's an abundance of resources, which can be a good thing, but also a curse at the same time. So, how does one navigate through so many resources that exist and chooses something that would maximize their productivity and efficiency if they are embarking on this journey to learn a new skill or a trade or something like that?
Sorry, just to clarify, from the business perspective or from the personal
From a
perspective?
personal perspective, I would say.
I think that it's because it's new, it allows the opportunity to shift the way you're thinking and challenge yourself to modify how you interact in a day-to-day world, and especially in a professional sense with a customer, because you're no longer working off of the same siloed natures that you're accustomed to. You're now able to identify areas that can impact a business in ways not thought of before. So you're constantly challenging yourself to think through problems in a different mindset than what you did previously. And so I think it's good from just a mental stamina perspective as well as the evolution of a customer.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that, Sean. So, Sean, I think one thing that people usually always speak about is their achievements. We've started seeing this trend where people are much more open to sharing their losses, their vulnerabilities. So, I'd love to understand, maybe if you could share, if it's okay, one specific instance where you've implemented something and it didn't work out, but it instead turned out to be a learning experience for you. Because all of us go through something where we have certain outcomes in mind, but then something happened and you're just like, okay, I did not expect this. But we always learn from it. So I'd love to understand if you have any instance that you might have learned from.
Yes, and actually, whenever I'm interviewing somebody, especially in the PM role, uh, if they have previous experience, we all have that project. We all have that failure situation that you probably couldn't recover from. And I encountered that. I was on an international project. It was a very large $60 million project, and we spent 2 years and it was with a government. And through that, there were so many moving pieces and so much layered mentality and change of direction that the project ultimately failed. And what I learned from that is that mainly don't be afraid of speaking up if you have an area of opportunity, and don't be afraid of going to that C-suite level and say, hey, this is going to be an issue. Here's how I think we can solve it. And, tell me what you think. But the other thing is, you never want to escalate something without a plan in place. I'm going to tell you why I'm escalating it. I'm going to tell you why this is what I think we should do, and this is why I think we should do it. And let them make the decision, because at the end of the day, if they choose not to and it fails, then you really did everything you could. And I think I had to understand that I did everything I could, but I could have done it sooner.
Okay, no, I think timing is everything, especially when you're working with different people, different departments. So thank you so much for sharing that. And your learning outcome is specifically understanding that you shouldn't expedite the process, but also go with an action plan is something that's super important. So thank you for sharing that, Sean. So Sean, I think the last question would be is you're a technical project manager. A lot of people are trying to get into that space as well. So I'd love to understand, how did you come across this role? What are some of the steps that a person could take to be a successful technical project manager, and what are some of the things that you've learned along the way?
I fell into it by accident, honestly. I worked at a soda bottler, and I was going to school, so I had basically the 8-year, 4-year degree. But in that time, I took on a project that was about overhauling our entire sales and distribution system. So I just kind of fell into it. As we got acquired by the mothership, then I pretty much shifted to another corporation strictly based on pricing, but a software delivery company. And my director came to me and he said, "You should be a project manager." And I just said, "Okay." And it was because I had done it, but not in a formal capacity. So I think for me, it's just, if somebody offers you the opportunity, even if it's something that you're not necessarily familiar with, say yes. You can always do something different, but if you say no, you don't get that opportunity. And so from my perspective, it was being intrigued by technology, asking the right questions, aligning myself with intelligent people to steer me the right way. And I'm not saying from a management perspective. I'm saying from a technical perspective, and absorb from them, so that as you get to be that technical project manager, you have enough baseline in technology to ask the right questions to expedite a timeline, or actually identify areas of potential failure if we deploy something the way it's been designed, but then guide the team. But make sure that your team is always aware that you're there for them. Because if your team doesn't like working for you, they're not going to. And so it's always about like in pulling new talent up. If you see something in somebody, put them in that right position. Give them an opportunity that maybe their manager isn't allowing them to, because if you're matrixed, it gets a little bit more tricky. But put them in front. Let them talk to a customer. Don't just keep people behind the scenes that have that ability. So I think the more you can get people to work around you, the more successful you'll be as any project manager or any manager in general.
No, I think you touched upon a lot of important things, such as saying yes to opportunities because you could always learn from that experience, but also how you should surround yourself by the right people because you are known by the people that you surround yourself with. Because the more time you spend with them, the more their habits become your habits, the more you learn from their intelligence. So, thank you so much for sharing that, Sean. But, Sean, our time is up. It was a pleasure learning about you, how you fell into technical project management, your current role, where you work, and how you're helping customers in your day to day life. Thank you so much for joining on this podcast and for sharing your experiences.
Thank you so much for your time.